does that mean? All the curves in the right places? Wow. No kidding. She sounds fantastic.
So tell me, what does he look like? I mean, you know, tell me what he looks like. Oh, he has a nice smile. You know what that means, Irene? That's all he has. Yeah? He has a mustache, huh? A regular Burt Reynolds. So tell me about his build. You know I like him tall. So what is tall enough?
Is it on? Yeah.
Well, the last tall man I went out with was so tall he drove up in a shoebox. You remember your brother. Tall, dark, and desperate. Oh. Okay. All right. But all I can say is, if this doesn't work out...
We apologize for having audio difficulties at the game. Please stand by.
Without my glasses.
What did you have to tell her about the mustache for? Yeah, no, I shaved it off the other day.
Shouldn't I tell him I sing opera? What's wrong with that?
Larry doesn't date a lot. School and work and his classical records keep him busy.
Would have to go to Ole Miss. Ken Austin, a proven quarterback coming back. He's got a lot of stats, but not a lot of wins this year.
Yeah, and he's taken a lot of heat this year. There's no question about it. He is an effective passer, very good, a high percentage passer, but they need to produce some more points in critical situations and eliminate the turnovers that they've had. And here you see Robert Smith running with the football. He'll be doing that along with Nathan Wansley. And when they throw the ball downfield, Timmy Moffitt has been Mr. Clutch for him all year. Does an excellent job, great body control, and does a fine job of catching the ball over the middle, a dangerous place to travel in the SEC.
Mississippi State has a couple of very good tackles. Elvis Butler, 98, and also Pat Swopes, maybe the best tackle tandem in the league.
I think you're right, and I think they'll probably dominate the middle, which will lead Mississippi to the air earlier than they've gone to the air in the past, I think.
They call this man, number 99, Aaron Pearson, the hit man. He's a junior college transfer, and he stepped right in and really fills the bill both against the rush and the pass.
Well, defensively last year, Mississippi State had some real problems. They were last in the SEC. Melvin Robertson has come in here and really reorganized the defense. They're a scrambling, also very aggressive, a blitzing defense, and they play man-to-man coverage, and they'll put pressure on Ken Austin.
Special teams will play a role as usual. Bill Smith, the punter for Ole Miss, is second in the nation, averages more than 47 yards per punt. And Artie Cosby, the field goal kicker for Mississippi State, has to get well after last year. He was going to win the game with a field goal that was headed between the uprights. A 40-mile-an-hour wind blew it back out onto the field, and Ole Miss escaped with a 24-23 win. We hope we have an exciting one like that again today. Cosby hopes the wind doesn't blow the ball out from behind the crossbars. They call it the Egg Bowl. They battle for the Golden Egg Trophy. Student governments from both schools bought this trophy back in 1927. The winner will keep it, and who'll get it, we'll find out in just a few minutes. Right now, we're going back to our studios right after these messages for more from Craig Sager and Paul Honing.
Welcome to the Action Center in Atlanta. I'm Craig Sager along with Paul Horning. Joining us today, Georgia coach Vince Dooley. A light schedule in the Southeastern Conference today. Kentucky travels to Tennessee. The Vols have won 4 in a row. They have scored 41 points each of the past 2 weeks. LSU ends its regular season with the annual rivalry against Tulane. And in a game you'll see right here, Ole Miss battles Mississippi State for the Golden Egg and bragging rights in that state. Florida closes out the regular season next week against Florida State. Although Florida has won the SEC title, the conference ruled Tuesday that the school, which has been found guilty of NCAA rules, will not be allowed to compete in a bowl game. School president Marshall Kreiser, a lawyer by trade, had considered a lawsuit, but now says the school will work within the system.
Litigating with the SEC is tantamount to withdrawing from the conference. The University of Florida elects to remain in the SEC and to attempt to become a positive force in that association. Fourth, the conference championship has been won on the field.
Florida's appeal with the NCAA will be heard January 14th.
And Craig, the Big 8 title's on the line today in Norman, Oklahoma. After upsetting Nebraska last week, Oklahoma plays in-state rival Oklahoma State for all the marbles in the Big 8. And a similar situation in the ACC. The conference title is on the line with Maryland and Virginia. And the Texas Longhorns, with the victory over Baylor, can wrap up at least a share of the Southwest Conference title.
Top-ranked Brigham Young has already claimed its 9th consecutive Western Athletic Conference title. Joining us now, Vince Dooley, the coach of the Georgia Bulldogs. And, Coach, should BYU be #1 in the country?
I think under our present system, I think that I would vote BYU as #1 under the system we have now. I still think we got some problems with the system, and this particular year is another example thereof.
Playoff system would be better.
Well, I think, and that's been discussed so much, I think the only possibility is to have a one-game Super Bowl, college Super Bowl, after the bowl games, pitting #1 against #2 after the bowl games, and let that decide.
I'd like to hear you two talk about the Heisman Trophy. You won it, of course, and you also coached the Heisman Trophy winner, Herschel Walker. What's the opinion after yesterday?
Well, I guess after yesterday, you're going to have to give it to Boston's Doug Flutie. I think it was going to be a close vote, and we'll take a look at that last play with Doug Flutie. He threw a bomb there at one of the great games. Again, Miami's in another one of the great games, let's say, 47-45. Flutie throws it about 64 yards. And I think this play, don't you agree, Coach? This was a pretty good pressure play for a quarterback.
Yeah, you see, he scrambled out right here, which gave the receivers a little more time to get down on the big bend. 3 of them downfield. They were supposed to jump and tap the ball, but everybody missed, and it came right into his hands, right in the end zone.
2 of those Miami defenders knocked each other off, I think, the timing. It should have been a deflected pass. I know if you were coaching the defense on a play like that, you'd be heartsick.
That's about a 5-2, maybe a 1 percentage point of possibility of making that, and it was made, and it was. I've seen a lot of great football games, or exciting football games. I don't think I've ever seen one as exciting as that one.
I tell you, Miami was in the Orange Bowl last year in an exciting game, and yesterday, and I really think that Flutie may have just sewn up the Heisman Trophy with that performance.
I don't think there's any question about it. I think he'll win hands down.
Coach, you have a big game coming up against Georgia Tech. That's always a big rivalry. Tech's playing very well lately.
They are. They really are playing well. They're so much better defensively than they were a year ago. Offensively, when you have Levette and you have a quarterback like Dewberry who account for 315 yards every time they go out, that's a great offense to start with. They've played us well in the past when we were better. They're much better than a year ago. We're not as good, which means it's going to be a tough football game for us.
Postseason play again. Somewhere, where will you be at 6 o'clock when the bowl invitation?
Well, we're going to be standing by, and we're hoping that the Citrus Bowl will invite us to come to Orlando, and if so, we'll accept.
Okay, thank you for being with us.
They will.
Okay, we'll be back with scores and highlights throughout the afternoon. Now let's go back to Bob Neal and Tim Foley.
Mississippi Memorial Stadium in Jackson, Mississippi. Temperatures should be in the low 60s for this afternoon's football game. The skies are blue. It is a clear, wonderful day for football here in central Mississippi. They're expecting a crowd of about 50,000. Memorial Stadium holds 62,000, and it looks to be about 50,000 already on hand for this 11:15 Central Time kickoff. There are the Bulldogs from Mississippi State. The Bulldogs have a record of 4-6. Last week, they upset LSU, knocking the Bengal Tigers out of the SEC lead by a score of 16-14. But they have problems beating Ole Miss in this rivalry. The Rebels lead the series 45, 29-6, have won 2 of the past 4 contests. This series dates all the way back to 1901 when Mississippi State won then by a score of 17-0. They call it the Egg Bowl now, and that's because it is a battle for a golden trophy called the Egg Cup. And here come the Rebels of Ole Miss. They are 3-6-1 on the season. They had a tie with Arkansas and were undefeated after their first 4 games, but now have lost 6 in a row, including a 41-17 loss last week to Tennessee. But this game, you can throw the records out. It should be a good one. Stay with us. This is Turner Network Television. As you see 31, Freddie Jonan, the captain of the Ole Miss football team. Ole Miss has won the toss, elected to receive. So we'll see the Ole Miss offense to begin here today. This rivalry goes all the way back to 1901. We talked to both coaches prior to the game about the meaning of the rivalry. First of all, Billy Brewer, and then Emery Ballard.
Well, it's two in-state Southeastern Conference football teams. They're less than probably 100 miles apart. And the fans, the people in Mississippi, are very competitive. And they love to brag about their football team in their season. So this is a bragging day.
It's a rivalry of long standing, and I think that you'll find most of the state of Mississippi is probably split right down the middle right now. And there are no neutral people on this football game. Everybody's got a side, and they're either for or against.
And that is the Mississippi State University side. They are on the opposite side of the press box in their maroon and white, as you will see them with their shakers. And on the near side, just underneath the press box, you will see throughout the game the rebel flags waving in the red and blue of Ole Miss. Ole Miss and Mississippi State, the 81st renewal. Deep back, number 9, Lee Davis, averaging 18.4 yards per kickoff return. He stands on his own goal line. Artie Cosby will kick off, and this game is underway. Cosby hits it out of the back of the end zone. That means the ball will come out to the 30-yard line. Ole Miss gets some pretty good field position here, thanks to the kickoff going out of the end zone on the fly. Let's have a look at the starting lineup now for the Ole Miss Rebels. Ken Austin will start at quarterback. He's playing a little bit hurt. He has 8 stitches under his chin. In his backfield will be 32 Nathan Wansley at tailback, Arthur Humphrey at fullback. The receivers starting the game should be Tim Moffitt and James Harper, although J.R. Ambrose will play a lot, as will Jamie Holder. And Wayne Pierce, the starting center, along with Tony Rayburn on the right guard, Ross Genovese at right tackle, Clark the left guard, and Sheehan the left tackle. On a 1st and 10 from the 30, the screen to the right side is out to about the 34-yard to Andre Rogers, a surprise starter at the flanker position, knocked out of bounds in front of the Ole Miss bench. There's Ken Austin, the quarterback. Ken Austin has nearly 1,600 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, but never has Ken Austin defeated a Southeastern Conference opponent. But today is more than just a regular game and more than a rivalry to Ken Austin, Jr. 2nd down 5 from the 35. Going on the run, complete for the 1st down to James Harper at the 41-yard line. Harper, a senior from Meridian, Mississippi.
We talked earlier, Bob, about the strength of the Mississippi State defense in their interior line. I think that Mississippi has recognized that, and they're trying to open up the game early by letting Mississippi State know they're going to throw the ball to the outside to people like James Pearl Harbor.
1st and 10 from the 41. Mississippi State in a classic 4-3 defensive alignment that you see right in the center of your screen. Handoff up the middle for about 3 yards. Nathan Wansley, who has 418 yards rushing on the year along with 5 touchdowns. He's 5'9", 180. Has a brother who's a freshman at Mississippi State, and 2 other brothers who are pro football players. So the Wansley family well represented in big-time football. It'll be 2nd down 6 from the 45.
Mississippi State defense has made an amazing amount of progress this year after finishing last in the SEC in total defense. They are tough on the defensive side of the football.
2nd down 6. It's complete again to Andre Rogers, and Rogers goes down inside Bulldog territory at the 47-yard line. Andre Rogers, a junior from Lumberton, Mississippi, only 5'9", 180, and has been not really a vital part of this offense, Tim.
Earlier on, we'd seen Mississippi, Bob. They tried to establish the run in the beginning of the game and kind of pass as a counterpunch. It looks like they've reversed their philosophy against this strong Mississippi State defense.
They've moved it to the 47 from their own 30 here, where it is 1st down 10. Opening moments, the 1st quarter from Jackson. This is Austin under pressure, and he scrambles well. Has a man wide open. It is complete to Ambrose, and Ambrose is out of bounds at the 18-yard line of the Mississippi State Bulldogs. The freshman from Monroe.
You can see they're moving Austin around a little bit more. They've got that drop back rollout pattern. He scoots outside. They break containment. He buys a little extra time. And this man, J.R. Ambrose, has made more progress over the last 4 or 5 games than any other Rebel. He is becoming a real threat for Mississippi.
Ambrose comes out of the game. Timmy Moffitt, number 30, goes in place of him on first down 10 from the 18-yard line. Boston rolling and looking again. Almost intercepted, incomplete at the 9-yard line, intended for James Pearl Harbor, and covering on the play for 7, Kirby Jackson. Pearl Harbor has had an injury-plagued career, but he has got that great deep speed. You'll probably see him going along today, too, as Ole Miss tries to get that ball downfield a little more than they did when we saw them earlier on our SEC games of the week.
He's had a hamstring problem this year, Bob, and if it hadn't been for that, he might have gone in the first 2 rounds of the pro draft. He still might, but he's got explosive speed and very good body control and catches the ball well.
Second down 10 from the 18-yard line. It is picked off. It is picked off at the 6-yard line by number 7, Kirby Jackson. His second interception of the year. He was almost an interceptor the previous play, and he got it this time. There was great quarterback pressure by number 99, Aaron Pearson, right up the middle, Tim.
Pearson is coming. Melvin Robertson, the defensive coordinator for Mississippi State, believes in pressure. That time Austin gets the ball off, probably a ball he shouldn't have thrown. The offensive receiver has to come back toward the ball in that situation, though.
All right, we are in the opening moments of the first quarter. Scoreless game. The Bulldogs dodge a bullet. Now they have possession of the ball. This is Turner Network Television. The head coach, Emory Ballard of the Mississippi State Bulldogs. He is closing out his 6th regular season at Mississippi State, an overall record of 80-62 in his 13 years as a head coach. And he was the man who invented the wishbone, but this year he's changed to an I formation from which he runs the triple option. That's the first option, is to hand it to that first man up the middle, number 34, Kenny Rogers. Let's look at the offensive lineup for Mississippi State. Rogers plays out of what you might call the tailback position. Mikel Williams is the fullback. Orlando Lundy, the quarterback, who's starting today in place of Don Smith, who's hurt. Lundy wears number 1 as a sophomore. The receivers are Art Mordecai, number 87 at split end. Lewis Clark, the wingback, number 82. The tight end, number 88, Corwin Aldridge. We'll give you the offensive line in just a moment. Second down 7 from the 10. Lundy completes it to Mikel Williams. Rambles to the 33-yard line where he's tackled by number 9, Lee Davis.
Mikel Williams, a senior, has got the good hands. He's a good blocker, but they use him and employ him in the running game and as a pass receiver. It looked like a blown assignment here for Mississippi. Then Williams makes a couple of Rebels miss and carries it up the field to the 33.
Where it's first down 10. 12:29 to go, quarter number 1. And off to the deep man in the eye, out to the 39-yard line goes Kenny Rogers, senior from Northport, Alabama. Rogers is playing in there at the tailback position, in place of Jim Cumberbatch, who started the season at that position but quit the team.
Here you see Sims and Joe Esty, who is not scheduled to start, playing on a bad ankle, and Corwin Aldridge. You're always going to see those players lined up to the left. Something that you'll see that's kind of the point of interest for the fans that are watching. The tight end will always be lined up to the left for Mississippi State.
Second down 3 from the 39-yard line. Bulldogs, scoreless football game from Jackson. First quarter action. Lundy on the option. They play him well and stop him at the 40. Freddie Joe Nunn with his second tackle of the early afternoon. Number 31 from the defensive right end position for Ole Miss. Freddie Joe Nunn is the man who leads the team in tackles.
Freddie Joe Nunn is definitely going to see some action in some all-star games this year. He'll be a high-round draft choice in the pros. At 6'4", he's got the speed to cover the running backs coming out of the backfield, and when he comes, he gets in the quarterback's face with that kind of height. It really can be troublesome to the quarterback.
He had 15 tackles last week against Tennessee. Third and 2 now for the Bulldogs. From their own 40, pitched to the tailback. He does not get the first down. That was number 34, Kenny Rogers, hit at the line of scrimmage. The Bulldogs will probably have to give up the football. Terry Williamson, the nose guard for Ole Miss, making the stop.
You're going to see Williamson come here and do a good job of coming off a block, and Fuzzy Huddleston is filling the hole, and fine job by the Rebel defense. They've played well early, Bob, as Bill Brewer looks on. They've played well early. In the first half, they've been in every game, and they seem to get worn out in the second half. They're not that big physically on defense.
Bulldogs ready to punt now. Hudson with the punt, hangs it pretty high. Fair catch signal by Willie Goodlow at the 22-yard line. He will hold it there. Ole Miss will have a chance to go on offense again. They drove all the way down inside the 20-yard of the Bulldogs, but threw an interception previously. Let's see what happens now. Billy Brewer, he played at Ole Miss. His blood runs Ole Miss red and blue. He is 10-11-1 as he finishes his second year at Ole Miss. We asked him about how he is going to play against this MSU defense.
Mississippi State is a good defensive football team, and they do a lot of things. We expect a lot of blitzes out of Mississippi State. We have got to move the football, and how we're going to do it today is we are going to throw the football an awful lot and mix in the sweeps, the draws, and screens along with that.
On the opening possession, Ole Miss threw 6 passes, ran the ball 1 time. From the 22-yard line, Rebels football, first down. James Harbor with the reception, number 25. Kirby Jackson with the stop, number 7 at the corner. The other cornerback is number 4, Bruce Plummer. The 2 safeties are 25, McKenna, and 27, Tom Nichols. The linebackers in the middle, Aaron Pearson. On the outsides, Leon Cannon, who's 42. Cedric Corse, who's 53. The 4 down linemen on the outside. The left end is 93, Gattuso. The right end, 78, William French. The inside tackles, number 65, Swopes, and number 98, Elvis Butler. Second down, 4 from the 28. About the 31, close to a first down goes Wansley, stopped by 98, Elvis Butler.
I think as far as the defense goes for Mississippi State, one of the most difficult things to do for Melvin Robertson, who came in here and took over the job as defensive coordinator this year, was to convince these youngsters that they could play. They weren't very good last year. They graduated a lot of people. They had 2 people coming back off a team that wasn't very good, and now they've got a lot of youth out there playing very well.
Third down, 1, double tight ends for Ole Miss. Quick handoff to number 40, fullback Arthur Humphrey, who gets out across the 33-yard line near the 34 for the first down for Ole Miss.
Emory Ballard, I think, was under a lot of pressure at the end of last season and early in this year, and brought in Melvin Robertson to coordinate the defense, and brought in Tom Good, former teammate of mine with Miami, who is excellent coach as offensive coordinator, and they really have some good things going on here, although their record's not good. We'll talk more about that.
First and 10 from the 34. 2 receivers split wide to the left, 1 to the right side. Austin throws it to Andre Rogers on the left side. Rogers steps out of bounds right at the 40-yard line. Penalty marker is down. Here's Rogers. He has 3 catches already this afternoon.
Bob, they're running this play like a screen almost. Harbor is in the slot. He's going downfield, taking out one of the defensive backs, and they're trying to isolate Rogers out there, try to spring him, get him to slip a tackle. He could go a long way.
Looks like number 4, Bruce Plummer, made the hit out of bounds. Personal foul charged against Plummer and the Bulldogs, and that moves the ball way downfield inside Bulldog territory at the 45-yard line. 8:46 to go, quarter number 1. Scoreless football game. First down, 10, Rebels of Ole Miss. Backs are Wansley and Humphrey. Here's Ken Austin throwing again. Going deep.
Got it.
There's Pearl Harbor. Down about 2 inches outside of the end zone. That's an almost but not quite. A 44-yard pass completion.
When a quarterback breaks containment like this, a good pump by Austin. That's going to affect the defensive back, but when he's got that much time, they're playing man-to-man on the outside for Mississippi State, and Pearl gets a step on Kirby Jackson. Billy Brewer was telling Bob and I earlier that that this is the first time that Harbor has been healthy all year, that he can run freely.
First and goal. Inches from the goal line. One diving touchdown, Ole Miss. Seventh touchdown of the year. And for the point after is John Howard, who was 10-13 on the extra points of the year. This one is good. We have an Ole Miss lead of 7-0 with 8:16 to go in quarter number 1. This is Turner Network Television. Here's the touchdown play. Watch tailback 32, Nathan Wansley.
Going up over the top, they've got their elephant backfield in there. Arthur Humphrey and Robert Smith leading the way, along with Bobby Clark, Wayne Pierce, and Eric Sheehan up front.
Well, Ken Austin has just had himself an excellent day as you take a look at the Bulldogs who are lining up to receive the kickoff back there. Austin is 7 out of 9 for 105 yards, 1 interception, but he's 7 out of 9 and has driven the team down, and he's gone to Andre Rogers, who had no catches on the season coming into this game. And all of a sudden, 3 catches here in the first quarter.
And I think I might be able to explain that. Defensively, you're going to give the attention to the man that's been causing the trouble. When Rogers lines up out there to the side of the 2 receivers, they're going to give him single coverage. They're figuring he'll be man-to-man. They're trying to spring him.
John Howard with the kickoff. To the goal line, number 21, Rodney Peters, a freshman from Atlanta. Finds a little seam and is hit hard at the 21-yard line and driven to the ground. But number 42, Everett Blake's a strong safety. 6th defensive back and an excellent special teams player for Ole Miss. So there, the Bulldogs, trailing 7-0, go on offense from their own 21-yard line. Let's very quickly give you the Ole Miss defensive alignment. On their front line, they have Webb and Freddie Joe Nunn at the ends. The tackles are Bob Blakemore and Benton Reed. The nose guard, Terry Williamson. The inside linebackers are Huddleston and Harrod. The corners are Lee Davis and Stephen Cunningham. The safeties, Barry Wilburn and Johnny Armstrong. Penalty marker on the play. We have a beautiful afternoon for football here in Jackson. It is in the low 60s. Very beautiful blue skies. Illegal procedure, the call against Mississippi State. I mentioned that the official's microphone is not working today, so you will not be hearing the voice of Jimmy Harper, but we'll be passing along the infractions to you from the booth. First and 15 now from the 16-yard line. Orlando Lundy. First start was last week. He throws complete, a nice diving catch by Art Mordecai out to the 29-yard line. Mordecai, a senior, 6'1", split end.
Mordecai is the type of receiver that can lull you to sleep. Doesn't have a lot of speed, yet he caught a 58-yarder down the middle against Auburn. What he does best, though, is those possession types of catch.
Second down 3, all out to the 28-yard line. Ole Miss leading 7-0, 7:30 to go, quarter number 1. And off to the fullback, Mikel Williams dives forward and gets the first down for the Bulldogs. Ole Miss, a ball control offense coming off the wishbone last year. As Tim has told you, they're now in an I formation, but actually run the triple option. You'll see a lot of the same kinds of plays that you see from the wishbone with this football team.
And a lot of interior traps. You almost can call them mini traps, where the center and the onside guard will double one lineman, and the other guard will trap and try to create a little seam for the fullback quick hitter.
First down 10 from the 32-yard line. Lundy with the option. This is where he's so dangerous. As you see, out to the 49-yard line goes Orlando Lundy, tackled by Cunningham last week in the upset over LSU. Lundy rushed for 115 yards.
115 yards and 22 carries. Not bad for a backup. He came in against Alabama. Donnie Smith had a great first quarter. rushed for over 60 yards, thrown for over 100 yards. And this is the man that replaces him. And look at the blocking there. Great job. Number 66 there is Stan Sims, clears the way.
From the 49-yard line, first down, Bulldogs. Here's the option play to Kenny Rogers. Needs a block out there. Look at Armstrong string it out. Number 4, Johnny Armstrong, coming up with a big play for Ole Miss as he strings it out and makes the tackle right about the 46-yard line.
Johnny Armstrong has been the quarterback of that Mississippi secondary. One of the most knowledgeable players Billy Brewer says he's ever been around. Someday he'll make a great coach. Not blessed with a lot of athletic ability, but always seems to work himself into the right spot.
Second down 5 for Emory Ballard's Mississippi State Bulldogs. 46-yard line of Ole Miss. The Rebels lead 7-0. Lundy tossing to Mikkel Williams, who falls down at the 45. Under some pressure, wanted to just get that ball over the on-rushing defenders and did so, but Mikkel stumbled and fell. He's a senior from Leland, Mississippi, and leads the team in receptions, actually. They throw that pass to him quite a bit.
What they're trying to do is wall out the linebacker, keep him from getting out there to cover Williams. That's the play they ran early in the game, and that went for 20 yards or so, and they'll come back to it again. It's kind of a screen to the outside, Bob.
Ole Miss stopped Mississippi State on their last third down conversion attempt. Previous possession. See what happens here. This is third and about 4. Orlando Lundy. Almost picked off. It is incomplete. The official says it hit the turf. John Lowe, number 84, the man who came up with the ball. It was Lee Davis trying to pick it off. Official says it is incomplete. Another third down conversion attempt that failed for the Bulldogs.
Davis does a good job of man-to-man coverage on the outside. He slides to the outside in anticipation of the O-cut. I thought Davis was going to make the interception there. He's in good position. The ball thrown down low. Lowe almost comes up with a great catch.
Good call by the official on that one. Very tough call, but a good one. There you saw 30 Moffitt to the left and 24 Goodlow to the right, ready to take the punt. It is a high one. Not pretty, but effective. Fair catch at the 16-yard line. That was Goodlow with the fair catch. And there, the Rebels, leading by a score of 7-0, go back on offense with 5:30 remaining in the first quarter. This is Turner Network Television. Ole Miss with a 7-0 lead, a 44-yard pass from Ken Austin to James Pearl Harbor down to about the 4-inch line, set up a dive by Nathan Wansley, and that's how Ole Miss got on the scoreboard. Austin 7 out of 9 for 105 yards throwing the ball here in the first quarter. The Ole Miss 16 on the option. Nathan Wansley close to the 25-yard line. Kirby Jackson, number 7, and number 25, R.J. McKenna with a stop for Mississippi State on Nathan, who's a junior from Moss Point, Mississippi.
Nathan Wansley, one of the strongest players on the Mississippi squad. Not a real big fella, but is a productive runner for them and a good team leader. And one guy that you're going to see in on a lot of action is R.J. McKenna, the weak safety for Mississippi State. He gets his nose up there in the running game.
Second down, 2 from the 25. 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Ken Austin, who gives it to Humphrey, the fullback, who gets the first down and about 4 more yards to the 31-yard line. That's Arthur Humphrey. He's the team's leading rusher, 430 yards coming into this game.
Nice job of blocking, cross-blocking there by Rayburn and Clark and Pearson. It cracks. If McKenna hadn't gotten back to put the wrap on Humphrey, he might have gone a long way.
Arthur Humphrey and Wansley trying to replace Buford McGee with the San Diego Chargers now. He's a tough man to replace. On the 1st and 10 from the 32, Austin's going up there again. Couldn't hold on. Covered by Kirby Jackson. J.R. Ambrose caught a 77-yard TD pass earlier this year. You can see his blazing speed. He is a freshman.
Kirby Jackson is in great shape on this pass here, and Austin puts it on the money. Throws it high. Gives Ambrose time to adjust his speed. Look at, he's slowing down, using his body position, and he just doesn't hold on. Earlier in the year, Ambrose had a problem catching the ball in practice, but he's gained Brewer's confidence by being more consistent in practice, and it's paid off for him in the games.
Second down, 10 from the 32-yard line. 2.5 yards. Back at the 28-yard line, number 65, Pat Swopes, is back there. Swopes has 8 tackles for loss, make that 9 now on the season. He can certainly penetrate, as can his teammate at the tackle, Elvis Butler, number 98. You'll see both of them in the backfield of Ole Miss a lot today if the Bulldog defense is successful.
That's quite a tandem there, Bob. Butler is a little bit better against the run. 285 pounds, a big fella. Swopes has a little bit more quickness and can bother you more on pass rushes.
There, Ken Austin's calling timeout as he didn't like the looks of either the defense or the call that was made. He comes to the sideline.
Talking there to Robert McGraw, the offensive coordinator, also the offensive line coach. Been with Billy Brewer for a couple of years at Louisiana Tech and came with him here to Mississippi. You see the bandage on Austin's chin. Put a helmet under his chin, put 8 stitches in it last week. He's taken a beating this year, unquestionably. They've had some injury problems in the offensive line for Mississippi, and Ken Austin's body has borne the brunt of those injuries as a result.
There's some question in some quarters as to whether or not Ken Austin will return to play football at Ole Miss next year. He's a junior, and he's a Rhodes Scholar candidate, an excellent all-academic football player. Is a potential academic All-American this year. He's already all-district academic, so he says he'll be back.
That Rhodes Scholarship can be an awfully tempting thing, and he is quite a student, and that's an important part of his life here at Mississippi. He is a student athlete, there's no question about it.
3rd down 13 from the 29-yard line. Look out for a Bulldog blitz out of that 4-3. They call it a 4-3 umbrella. About 6 of those Bulldogs. They pick them up. It is complete to Moffitt, the big play receiver, with a 1st down reception out at the 46-yard line. Tim Moffitt. They sent about 5 or 6 defensive linemen and linebackers in there, Tim.
Pearson was coming on that time. Cedric Course from the outside. They were putting a lot of pressure on, but credit that Mississippi offensive line gave Austin time to deliver the ball, and look at Moffitt right on the edge of his fingertips.
The 46-yard line of Ole Miss. Rebels lead 7-0. 3:37 to go, quarter number 1. Austin rolling. Going on the run. It is complete to the 43-yard line of the Bulldogs. 87, Jamie Holder. Tackled by 27, Tom Nichols. That's the 12th pass thrown by Ken Austin in the 1st quarter.
See a little split screen here. There's Holder, and he's Mr. Look at that. Head fake to the outside. At the inside, breaks it back to the outside. Excellent hands. Gets the 1st down. They're going to have to make Ken Austin sit down sooner. He's buying too much time by rolling out of the pocket. Look for Mississippi State to start blitzing those outside linebackers to contain Austin's mobility.
1st and 10 at the 43 of the Bulldogs. Backs in the eye this time. Maybe a check off by Austin. Backs going to split. Austin's going to have to keep it, and there is number 53, Cedric Course, the freshman linebacker from Atlanta. Of course, just a youngster had to step in for an injured veteran there, Tim.
I think you're right, Bob. I think it was a check off, and tight end just has to do a little bit better job on that linebacker. Cedric Course. As we mentioned earlier, only 2 starters returned off the squad last year. Most of these people in their 1st year of actually starting.
2nd down 10 now. Robert Smith in the fullback position. Ken Austin. Plenty of time. It's complete to the 24-yard line to that man again, Tim Moffitt, number 30. Jackson covering, and Moffitt had a great game against Mississippi State. Last year was USA Today Player of the Week for his efforts.
Every time we've seen him, Bob, he's been productive against Auburn, against Georgia. And this is what I love about Timmy Moffitt. I like a receiver with courage that comes across the middle, will stretch his body out and make the catch. There's a lot of receivers, when you start calling those patterns across the middle of the field, they get a little bit gun shy. Their head gets on a swivel. They lose their concentration, but not Timmy Moffitt.
10 at the 25. Austin has thrown for 153 yards already. And off to Robert Smith, the front man in the eye, goes to the 21-yard line, and down he goes. Kind of a keep-em-honest play by the Rebels. And I'll tell you, this is a different-looking Ole Miss offense than the one we saw against Auburn and the one we saw against Georgia. And by that, I mean we're seeing different philosophy offensively, Tim.
I think so, and I think it's due to the fact that some of Billy Brewer's potential has developed in the terms of his young receivers. They're now to the point where they can keep their head in a game. They know how to read coverage and get open, so he's taking advantage of that.
Second down 6 from the 21. Closing moments of the first quarter, and Smith gets inside the 20 to about the 19-yard line, tripped up by the right linebacker, number 42, Leon Cannon. So it'll bring up a third down conversion situation for Ole Miss now. Ole Miss is 2 out of 2 on third down conversion so far. You see the time running out in quarter number 1. Jackson, Mississippi Memorial Stadium. I would estimate 50,000 plus here today. The stadium seats 62,000, and it's virtually full except for the high end of the far end zone on a 3rd and 5. Austin into the end zone. Incomplete. Tipped away by number 7, Kirby Jackson. Intended for 25, James Harbor. In comes the field goal unit.
Mississippi State put the pressure on them there. Third down possession. They blitzed a weak safety up the middle of the field. Austin buys some time. And look at Kirby Jackson. The idea is you want to get your head and shoulders around. That's what most defensive backs in college don't do. They focus on the receiver, and the receiver goes up and make the catch. Great play by Kirby Jackson. Got his head and shoulders around, went up, batted the ball away at the last second.
Well, these defensive backs for Mississippi State getting a workout today. That was the 14th pass thrown in the first quarter. Here's Howard for a 36-yard field goal attempt. It is no good. It hooks wide to the left side. And the score remains Ole Miss 7 and Mississippi State nothing, with only 34 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. This telecast is authorized under broadcast rights granted by the Southeastern Conference and is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, rebroadcast, or retransmission of the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game in whole or in part without the express written consent of the Southeastern Conference and Turner Broadcasting is prohibited. Bulldogs football. First down 10 from their 20 following the missed field goal attempt by John Howard. Here comes Orlando Lundy. Fumbles the ball. Fallen on by number 34, Kenny Rogers. You can see him carrying it out there like a loaf of bread. And as about any coach will tell you, that's a no-no.
Rides fullback into the line of scrimmage, and now he's looking for his next read. Sims does a nice job walling out Jay Webb, and linebacker comes and knocks the ball out before he can tuck it away.
So Orlando Lundy is the kind of, he's just a sophomore. He started his first game ever last week. That's the end of the first quarter. With a score, Ole Miss 7, Mississippi State Bulldogs nothing. This is Turner Network Television. Portions of today's game are brought to you by your Toyota dealer at 1985 Tercel. Toyota's smart value with more room than any subcompact. We are ready to begin action in the second quarter. It will be Mississippi State ball. Ole Miss football. Mississippi State football. Remember, this is both of the Mississippi schools, folks. I knew I was going to do that before the day was over. It's Bulldog ball. You can write that down in Grant. The 24 on second down. A couple of yards over on the left side by 38, Mikel Williams. Benton Reed with the tackle. Another third down conversion going to come up here.
Orlando Lundy. Orlando was a receiver last year and a punt returner. Tom Good, the offensive coordinator for Mississippi State, said once he started at quarterback, we decided that we'd find somebody else to return punts for us. Fine athlete.
Third down 3 from the 27. And Lundy doesn't get it. He's short of the first down. He goes down right at the 29. Reed Killian back there to make the play, number 51, the linebacker. It's very close to a first down, but I think Mississippi State's going to have to give up the ball again.
Carl Torbush is really shuffling the linebackers around for Mississippi. They lost Dan Boyce a couple of games ago on an ankle, and he was kind of their quarterback and signal caller, and now the man that's picking up that slack is Jeff Farad, a freshman, a true freshman. And he's been in there with Huddleston and Reed Killian and Pat Brown.
Moffitt and Goodlow back to take the punt at their own 25-yard line. Here's Brian Hudson, a freshman, with the punt. Pretty good one. Not much hang time, though. That's Moffitt at his 22. And he make it outside. Yes, gets a good block. Down the sideline goes Timmy Moffitt. Out of bounds at the 49-yard line. Timmy Moffitt had a long punt return last year in this game that brought Ole Miss to a come-from-behind victory. Danger is there, Tim.
Watch this block by Mike Fitzsimmons. You're going to see 71 come into your picture right there. Bang, bang, bang. And he took out 3 Bulldogs. Moffitt turns a corner. That's what you're looking for. You fight to get to that wall. Timmy Moffitt comes up with the big plays and the big games. We've got a penalty on this one, though. He's going to lose a little bit of that ground.
How many times have we seen the long punt and kick return brought back? Holding is the call. Usually it's flipping. Holding the call against Ole Miss. They bring it back to the 26.5-yard line.
Moffitt made the big play last year. Mississippi was trailing by 17 going into the 4th quarter. They tried to block a punt, rushed 10 people. Moffitt was back there by himself. He ended up returning it for a touchdown to kind of get that Mississippi belief cooking again.
It was a 66-yarder last year. Well, this one comes back to the 27. Ken Austin on first down, 10 Ole Miss. Plenty of time. Almost picked off. He was trying to find number 6, Ambrose. Number 42, Leon Cannon, the linebacker, showing some speed as you take a look at Emory Ballard and the offensive unit for the Bulldogs on the sideline.
And Emory Ballard right there is telling them, folks, it's going to be a long off season if we can't pull this one off. And that's the truth. In a game like this, you've got to eat crow for a long time. It seems like a long time before you're on that field again. This type of game, that Michigan-Ohio State type of matchup, Purdue-Indiana type of matchup, Auburn-Alabama, so much state pride on the line.
Second down 10 from the 27. 7-0 Ole Miss leads. We're early in the 2nd quarter. Austin, good protection. Screens right side. Nathan Wansley needs a block. Gets it. And drives to the 34-yard line. He's about 3 or 4 yards short of a first down. Pearson with the tackle for the Bulldogs, number 99.
Looked like number 62, Tony Rayburn, out there in front that sprung Wansley on that. Mississippi State has been so aggressive and upfield on defense. Mississippi knew they had to come up with something to get them thinking, to counter that explosive pass rush that they have. That time Austin did a nice job of acting and setting that screen up.
They've got an official's timeout down there, the ball at the 34-yard line. While we have the opportunity, let's mention that offensive line for Ole Miss. We've been talking about the good job they've done as you look at Emory Ballard, but they are from left to right. 59, Eric Sheehan, the tackle. Number 68, Bobby Clark, the left guard. Wayne Pearson, center. Tony Rayburn, the right guard. And Ross Genovese is the right tackle in place of the injured Greg Walker today. They're doing a good job protecting the quarterback. On a 3rd and 3, incomplete. The intended receiver, Jamie Holder, was open at the 44, but Austin just couldn't find him. And now Ole Miss will give up the football, and in comes their punter, one of the finest in the nation. As a matter of fact, he's only 0.2 of a yard behind Ricky Anderson of Vanderbilt, who made the Walter Camp UPI All-American team this week. Mike Harper is number 24, averages 4 yards per punt return. He's a backup defensive back who's returning the punts instead of Orlando Lundy, the quarterback. There's Bill Smith, number 10, 6'3", 215, former tight end. He can boom it. I rest my case. Harper at his own 15, down at the 18. That was a 51-yarder with only a yard or 2 return off the strong right leg of Bill Smith. It'll be first down 10 Bulldogs. They trail 7-0. 12:20 remaining in quarter number 2. Only a couple of games remaining, counting this one in our TBS Sports TNT presentation of Southeastern Conference football for 1984. We just had a great time with the finest conference in the land. Hope you've enjoyed the telecast this year. First down 10 from the 18-yard line. Mississippi State Bulldogs. Orlando Lundy. It is complete at the 31-yard line to 88. Corwin Aldridge, big tight end, covering 43 Stephen Cunningham. You know, big tight end's a cliche, but not on Corwin Aldridge. He is. Penalty marker is down, however, in the offensive backfield of the Bulldogs.
Looks like it's going to be holding on Mississippi State. Lundy buys some time, just hits the tight end dragging across after the two wide receivers have cleared out the zone to the strong side.
Back to the 12-yard line goes the ball. Matter of fact, now they move it another 5 back to the 7. Flipping is the call against the Bulldogs. They are in the hole here. First down and forever to go. They have to get it out to the 28-yard line.
Last week against LSU, they got the ball here, Bob. The score was 14-13. Mississippi State, the Bulldogs were behind, and when the film came back on again, they were ahead 16-14. They can take it a long way. They've got an excellent offense, but if Lundy doesn't get something going pretty soon here, I'd look to see Donnie Smith. This is Turner Network Television.
It's a beautiful afternoon in Jackson, Mississippi. Temperatures in the low 60s, sunshiny skies. First down 22. Old Mississippi State from your 7. Knocked out of bounds at the 12.5-yard line. Tackled by Huddleston, 44, and number 9, Lee Davis.
Kenny Rogers, a senior, getting his first really full shot at playing. Emery Ballard and the coaches say he gets better and better as time goes on. Hasn't really played a whole lot.
We're going to pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves. Second and 17 from the 12. Lundy. Down he goes at the 13 or 14-yard line. Jeff Harrod, number 66, with the tackle. It's tough to come back from a first down 22 inside your own 10-yard line.
There's Bob Blakemore, number 88, rushing to the outside, being double-teamed. Michael Portis finally breaks clean up the middle and flushes him out to the outside. Harrod and a group of his contemporaries drag Lundy to the ground. That's the thing that scares you about an athlete like Orlando Lundy. Not necessarily the design plays, but what he does with a broken play.
Third and 14. Lundy. Incomplete, intended out here at the 28-yard line for number 88, Corwin Aldridge. Once again, this Ole Miss defensive unit is held, but they were aided by a 15-yard flipping penalty. Moffitt and Goodlow will go back to take the punt. Brian Hudson. Ole Miss has 9 players on the line. They may go after this one. Hudson is standing on his own goal line. They don't pressure that much. He gets the punt away. Everybody's getting away from the ball. Moffitt signaling Goodlow to get away from it also, and it rolls dead at about 42 or 43-yard line. 43-yard punt from Brian Hudson that time. But excellent field position now for the Ole Miss Reds. And Tim, Ole Miss, we talked about the Ole Miss offense against Georgia and Auburn being a kind of a ball control lackluster. It's changed a great deal here. What do you think has gone on with Billy Brewer and Ole Miss?
Well, I think that what has happened is some of his players have gained some maturity. They've gained some practice time. That's a young offense in there. At times you can have 3 or 4 true freshmen in the game on offense.
First and 10 from the 42. Austin to Wansley. 2 yards out to the 44-yard line. Goes Nathan Wansley.
And as a result of being young, you don't want to put people in game situations too early because confidence is a fragile thing at any level. And although you were a great high school player and had a very successful career, if you get off on the wrong foot in college, and then it becomes an obstacle that you have to overcome. So it's better to let a player develop a little bit in practice, and then when you see he can do it, put him in a game situation.
Second down, 8 from the 44, Ole Miss. Austin rolling and looking. Pressure! He breaks loose. Finally hauled down. Finally by Derek Richardson, and a penalty marker is down. I thought he was down on the initial tackle by Aaron Pearson, who just came shooting up the middle. Personal foul against the Bulldogs. Pearson had a hold of Austin. He broke loose, and then Derek Richardson, junior defensive right end, came in there and hit him.
See, Sigrid Torres there, number 53, fighting upfield. Wansley does a nice job, but Pearson had blitzed in that hole. It was primary contained. Austin fights away. Richardson drags him to the ground, and it looks like Elvis Butler comes in a little late. You see Torres coming now. There's Richardson 40, and it didn't look like there was a lot of contact. I think probably more jumping up and down than anything else. What'd you think of that call, Bulldog?
The Mississippi State Bulldog. Fine-looking mascot. He is primed for today's game. See the look of anger on his face. What is it one of the coaches said? There are often divorces after this game. There are a lot of husbands and wives in Mississippi who went to opposite schools. Whoa! Third and short. That ball is loose. It's fallen on by Nathan Wansley. He dropped it, and Austin fell on it. Wansley dropped it, Austin got it, but it's short of the first down.
A big, big hit, and that's exactly why Mississippi is throwing the football. Mississippi State is strong up front, aggressive.
That's why they called number 99 Pearson the hit man, too. He is a load. Mike Harper back to take the punt. Brett Brewer into punt this time, number 3. There's Harper. Brett is the son of the head coach. He gets great hang time, which is the reason he punts on this part of the field. And is fair caught at the 10-yard line. Good job by young Brett Butler. Brett Butler, the former Atlanta Braves, who's playing down here. I should say Brett Brewer. We'll be right back. Mississippi State Bulldog football with 8:55 to go in the first half. Ole Miss leads 7-0. Came out here, looked like Ole Miss was going to run rampant up and down the field. The Bulldog defense has adjusted. Now we've got ourselves locked into a defensive struggle at the moment. Field position becoming a key element of the game here in the second quarter. On the first down, here's Kenny Rogers trying to string it out. And look at those red jerseys all over it. They were led by 83 Benton Reed from right tackle, but you see in your picture there, it's 6 or 7 of the Reds.
Certainly have developed a reputation as a swarming defense, Bob, to get around the football. Some teams have tried to victimize them a little bit by taking advantage of that pursuit with reverses and counters.
Second down 8 from the 12-yard line. This is what they call their slot right formation. They have that wing back, Clark, lined up just to the outside of the right tackle. Nothing going that time. Kenny Rogers goes down at about the 12-yard line. Terry Williamson, the nose guard, with the stop for the Ole Miss Rebs. Ole Miss defense very effective against the run thus far.
See, Bob Blakemore, call him Conan. Got such a big, he's the guy with the fish that eats up the other fish. We told you that story the last time we did Mississippi. And
he's on his third fish, by the way.
His third fish. We'll update you on that.
He is not majoring in fish training either. Blakemore is fish raising. Third down 8. Bulldogs from their own 12. Mikel Williams gets the first down. Out of bounds at the 27-yard line. Stephen Cunningham with the stop for Ole Miss. Clutch third down conversion, the first of the afternoon for Mississippi State.
You have Danny Sanders out front of that screen. Lundy sets it up well, but watch number 62 get a block. You see Dan Boyce going down. Danny Sanders is the leader of that offensive line for Mississippi State, a senior playing his last game as a Bulldog, and you know he's excited about the opportunity to beat the Rebels.
First down 10 from Bob Blakemore.
That's exactly what we talked about, Bob, the misdirection, trying to take advantage of that Mississippi speed. But what Blakemore does is he reads the pulling lineman. He forgets about the backs, reads the pulling lineman, gets in that, who was that, Joe Estes' pocket? No, it wasn't. It was Frank Harbin's pocket and just chased down the running back.
There you see Freddie Joe Nunn on the sideline. It looked like they're working on his equipment. The defensive right end for Ole Miss. They don't want him on the bench very long. He's the team leader defensively. Second down 11, Mississippi State. Here's Lundy rolling and looking again. It's picked up at the 43-yard line. Ole Miss ball, 28. James Savage got the interception, and he was in place of Freddie Joe Nunn.
He was a long way downfield. Mississippi in man-to-man coverage here as Lundy rolls to the left. See Bacon 58 coming into your picture. Blakemore trying to contain Lundy, and Lundy lets it go. Savage makes a fine catch.
Pass was intended for 44 Elmer Wilson, the wingback. First down 10. Ole Miss from the 43. Rebels lead 7-0. In the second quarter. Here's a reverse. Andre Rogers has the wall. Down he goes, and hard at the 45-yard line. After he gets the first down, Plummer and Cannon with the stop. Rogers, a big element in this game after not really playing very much all year long for Ole Miss.
Mississippi trying to catch Mississippi State in the blitz. They worked that perfectly. You see Eric Sheehan out in front, Bobby Clark trying to get a block. Mississippi State gets back in to make a play.
First down 10 from the 45-yard line of the Bulldogs. First man, that's Robert Smith near the 40-yard line. Aaron Pearson with the tackle. By the way, as you look at 34 Smith, Arthur Humphrey, the starting fullback and leading rusher for Ole Miss, is on the bench with an ice pack on his head down about the 35-yard line of Ole Miss. He was kicked in the head earlier. We are not sure whether or not he will return to action. Could be a key element, although Robert Smith, a freshman from West Point, certainly is becoming a fine fullback. Second and 6 from 41, Bulldogs. Following the interception by James Savage. Austin, trouble this time, down at the 49-yard line. There you see Swope, 65. Aaron Pearson was there, 99. Cedric Corse, number 53.
This is a kitchen sink blitz here, Bob. Good coverage by the Mississippi State secondary. Austin has no place to go, and the pressure is there. The idea of a defensive back is to make the quarterback hesitate. Take away the man that he wants to go to initially, as you look at Arthur Humphrey with the ice pack on his head.
Keeping a cool head.
Right.
Hope he's all right. Third down, 16-49. Austin under blitz pressure again. Excellent protection this time. It is complete to James Harbor. He stayed in bounds, but he got the first down. He almost came back upfield and lost it. But they're going to say that Pearl Harbor got to the 34-yard line. Plummer and Nichols covering on the play, and Ole Miss continues to drive.
You're blitzing defensively, and you're a defensive back. You're thinking two things. Take away the short pattern, and then take away the deep pattern. If they've got this much time to throw the ball on a blitz, they ought to catch that pattern. That's not the fault of the defensive back. It's the fault of the pressure and containment in the blitz.
What a good job they're doing picking up the blitz today.
They really are, and they're moving the pocket around. They're not giving that. There's no focal point that everybody can run to and accelerate to, because Austin's going to the left and going to the right.
First and 10 from the 35-yard line, Ole Miss. They lead 7-0 late in the second quarter. Here's Harbor again at the 20, and he goes down at the 23, but he got the first down. Harbor looked like he may have, I thought he had a cramp. Obviously, he did not have a cramp. He had some injuries earlier. Pearson got a real hit on Austin here, Tim.
Yes, he did. This is the way that Mississippi State is countering the rollout. They're bringing Pearson through that end tackle gap, and that time he really drilled Austin. Got his face mask right in his chest. Austin is stretched out down the field. Probably had the wind knocked out from under him.
And we're going to see David McKinney probably here to come in at least for a play or two. McKinney played the entire second half last week. As you look at Austin, it does look like, as Tim told you, it looks like a wind situation. Let's hope that's all it is for Ken Austin. McKinney, a freshman, number 13, came in and played very well almost the entire second half of the Tennessee ball game last week. But Austin's been hot today, 13 of 19 for 189 yards already, and Ole Miss can sorely afford to lose him.
It's interesting to see what a defensive coordinator has in his bag when he's being presented with a specific problem. Mississippi State's Melvin Robertson was being troubled by the quarterback rolling and buying too much time. Now, he felt to counter that by blitzing Pearson through that outside end tackle gap, and that turned out to be an effective measure. But Ken Austin's on his feet, and he's a gutty competitor. He has taken a real beating this year. They've had him sitting in the pocket a lot. They've had injuries in the offensive line, and as a result, there are cracks in that protection, and he has taken some healthy shots.
I guess we told you he has 8 stitches on his chin last week. There's David McKinney, 14 out of 32 last week with a touchdown toss. He may only take 1 snap here, though. We'll see. Freshman. And the ball to Wansley to the 15-yard line. Just shy of the first down by about a yard goes Nathan Wansley. They're going to leave McKinney in there for another snap or two. Jamie Holder running the play in for Ole Miss as we look at it again.
Once again, first down, you counter punch with a run. As you see Wayne Pierce, the senior center, do an excellent job of blocking for that Mississippi offensive line.
Second down 2 from the 15 of the Bulldogs. David McKinney, the freshman, in at quarterback for Ole Miss. Wansley again. Nothing this time. Wansley stopped just where there was a hole last time. This time all he saw was number 99, Aaron Pearson. What an impressive football player that middle linebacker is. Right out of that classic mold.
He really is. There aren't a lot of teams that play a 4-3 defense anymore. But Melvin Robertson likes it. He moves them around, so you never know quite where they're going to line up. And at Texas A&M, they finished first in the Southwest Conference in defense 5 years in a row.
Third down 1, the 14. Here's McKinney with the option. He gets the first down to the 10-yard line. The freshman quarterback keeps it. He's tackled by Aaron Pearson again, but this time after he achieved the first down yardage, and it is first down. They still have Ken Austin on the sideline.
Got a good shot of that Mississippi offensive line doing an excellent job of getting the Mississippi State people on the ground. But the Mississippi State linemen kept that middle linebacker clean. That's what defensive lines like the Chicago Bears used to do for Dick Butkus. They used to keep him clean, don't let the linemen get on him, grab people, and let him move laterally.
First and goal from the 10, McKinney. It's complete to the 3-yard line with the reception, number 87, Jamie Holder. So McKinney had to come in at an instant's notice when the wind was knocked out of starting quarterback Ken Austin. He has handled the ball thus far flawlessly and now completes 1 out of 1 throwing the ball.
You see that turn back protection there by the Mississippi offensive line. Robert Smith did a fine job of getting the outside linebacker on the ground. Then they get the ball to Jamie Holder, who ended up at Mississippi because he wrote a letter to Steve Sloan asking him to come.
It's the power formation on second down goal from the 3, Ole Miss. Nathan Wansley gets to the 2. We understand from field level now, our reporters down there, that Kent Austin did simply have the wind knocked out and is expected to return to the game. Right now, freshman David McKinney is running things and is facing a 3rd and goal from the 2-yard line.
Running behind Mike Smith and Eric Sheehan, Bobby Clark, trying to get some movement in that Bulldog defensive front.
41 Mickens, 34 Smith, and 21 Pitts. 3 freshmen backs in for Ole Miss on 3rd and goal from the 2. That's Pitts in motion. Pitch to Mickles. Nowhere, loses a yard down at the 3.5. Number 99, Aaron Pearson is there again.
He does cover some ground. As a matter of fact, Bob, there are 4 freshmen running backs in there for Mississippi right now. A youthful offensive set. Their youth doesn't do much good against Aaron Pearson. Let me hug you.
John Howard, a freshman kicker, comes in. Both of these teams are youthful. We're not just hammering on that, but that is, in fact, the case. Howard with a 21-yard attempt. Sure stole that one. Missed it wide to the left side. 2 chip shot field goals have been missed by Howard in this game, but the Rebels continue to lead 7-0 with 13 seconds to go in the half. This is Turner Network Television. Looks like the placement was good on this, Tim.
This can be awfully demoralizing for a football team to fight and scratch your way down the field and then thinking that you've got a guaranteed 3 and having the kicker shank it.
First down, 10 Bulldogs from their own 20. Ole Miss leads 7-0. Only 12 seconds to go in the half. Here's Lundy. Dives out close to the 30. Let's see where they say his knee went down. They're going to give him the first down at the 30. Huddleston with the tackle there. And the clock ticks down, and that's the end of the first half. It's been all Ole Miss, but Ole Miss has failed to get it into the end zone on 2 of their 3 very good, actually 3 out of 4 opportunities inside the 20, and lead only 7-0. This is Turner Network Television. You're looking at the Mississippi State Bulldog Marching Band, the famous Maroon Marching Band from Starkville, Mississippi, performing here. We're going to be getting activity from both of the bands for you here at halftime. Last week, Mississippi State and LSU met in a game that most thought LSU would go ahead and win and at least tie for the Southeastern Conference. But the Bulldogs had a different idea. They went into the game with a problem, though. Their star quarterback, sophomore Don Smith, had a separated shoulder. They had to go to a backup who hadn't taken a snap all year, Orlando Lundy. And Lundy played a great game, and he is our Southeastern Conference Player of the Week.
The cards were stacked against Mississippi State last Saturday. The LSU Tigers were coming to town in search of a win that would give them a share of the SEC title, and the Bulldogs would face LSU without Don Smith, their starter at quarterback all year long. But nobody told Orlando Lundy that the Dogs were supposed to lose. The sophomore stepped in at quarterback and ran the offense to perfection. This 8-yard run in the first quarter gave State a 7-7 tie. Lundy would finish as the game's leading rusher with 115 yards on 22 carries. But Lundy also showed he could move the team through the air. Passes like this one to Corwin Aldridge helped the Dogs to 3 second-half field goals, including Artie Cosby's game-winning 27-yarder with just 1:15 left to play. Lundy's 13 for 28 performance was good enough to give him more than half of State's 441 yards of total offense. And the bottom line of Lundy's contribution, a 16-14 Mississippi State win over LSU. Our SEC Player of the Week, Mississippi State's Orlando Lundy.
And in the first half of this ball game, Lundy's 4 out of 7 for 52 yards and 1 interception. He's rushed the ball for 35 yards, our Player of the Week. And you're looking at the famous Maroon Band from Mississippi State. Dr. Kent Sills is the director of bands. Drum majors for the Maroon Band are Tim Avan, a senior music education major from West Point, and Stephen Pounders, a junior music education major from Aberdeen. Let's watch the famous Maroon Band.
The 1984 MSU Majorettes, rifles, flags, and feature tours as they perform the Lionel Richie hit All Night Long.
morning at Mississippi Memorial Stadium in Jackson. We're going to pause now for a closer look at each of today's participating schools. Following this commercial timeout, we'll be going back to Atlanta, where Craig Sager and Paul Horning will be updating you with scores and highlights from around the country.
Welcome back to the Action Center in Atlanta. Kentucky and Tennessee are getting ready to kick off in Knoxville. We'll be following that game very closely. But first of all, Mississippi State, like so many games we've had this year, a close one.
Sure is 7-0 here at halftime, and a couple of missed field goals, or I guess Ole Miss could have been breathing a little bit easier. But anyway, there are 5 teams still alive in the Southwest Conference race, but the Texas Longhorns are in the driver's seat. A victory today over Baylor will clinch at least a tie for the conference title. But it doesn't look like it's going to be easy, Craig, because Baylor, we see this is Baylor with the football. It's a defensive battle so far. Tom Muke, the quarterback, is going to get sacked here. All-American Tony DeGrade of Texas. Texas, on the other hand, this is Todd Dodge. He's going to be sacked. So both these teams in a defensive battle so far. Todd Dodge, of course, the slippery quarterback of the University of Texas. They're ranked number 6. Nice little pitch over the middle to Rob Merschel, and he does a real good job of running here. Picks up about 20, and this play set up the only score of the game, a field goal. Texas lead in the second quarter, 3-0.
The Atlantic Coast Conference title is up for grabs this afternoon in Charlottesville, Virginia. Now, you got to hand it to Virginia. This team has never been to a bowl in the school's history, but George Welsh has them going this year, now trying for the ACC title. Maryland gets on the scoreboard first on that 47-yard field goal by Jess Atkinson. It was 3-0 Maryland. But Virginia comes right back, still in the first quarter. Quarterback Don Majkowski keeps the ball himself on the action play, goes off right guard in for the touchdown, 7-3. A short time later, in the following quarter, second quarter early action, Virginia scores again. This time, Howard Petty gets the call. He goes in and it is 14-6 in favor of Virginia. But Maryland comes back. Rick Badanek gets the call, goes wide, looks like he's wide open. Can anybody catch him, Paul?
Well, they can, but watch his poor tackling. But Angie goes on down the sideline. It's a good run. Nobody even touched him, really. The one defensive back, and he'll hear from it from George Welch next week.
That was a great move, wasn't it?
Great move. Terrible tackling.
Elsewhere around the country, Utah State taking on top-ranked BYU. BYU is 11-0. Utah State 1-10. This should be a lopsided one. Clemson has scored first on a touchdown by Terrence Flagler, 7-0 over South Carolina. Kentucky, Tennessee just getting ready to kick off. Pittsburgh on top of Penn State, 7-3 late in the first quarter. North Carolina, Duke, that also is just underway. Now, this is the day that the bowl invitations are extended, and you can expect 5 teams from the Southeastern Conference to be in postseason play. First of all, Georgia will be in the Florida Citrus against Florida State. Auburn, with a victory over Alabama, will represent the conference in the Sugar Bowl against Nebraska. LSU, the Liberty against Arkansas. Tennessee, the Sun against Maryland. And Kentucky, the Hall of Fame Bowl against Wisconsin. Of course, had not Florida been ruled ineligible, that would have been 16. So it's been a great year for the Southeastern Conference, Paul.
Well, it sure has, and it seems like every year now we've got so many bowls with 18 or 19 bowls that you're going to find 5 or 6 SEC teams in the bowl situation every year.
Back with more scores and highlights, but now we're back to the second half of Mississippi State after this word from the NCAA.
The Ole Miss Pride of the South Marching Band, the director, Dr. Luther Snavely Jr., the drum majors are Jay MacArthur and Melissa Lambert. You're also watching perform in front of the band, the Ole Miss Rebelettes.
The finale of today's show features the color guard and trumpets as the band performs
Western Mississippi, performing here in Jackson today at Mississippi Memorial Stadium. It's 7-0 at halftime, and Tim Foley, here's a statistic now that could make a lot of difference in the second half. Mississippi State was leading going into the second half, and all the conference games they lost. Last week, they won, beating LSU, and they were behind at halftime. So they're behind here today, so I'll leave it up to you as the expert analyst to explain the meaning of that.
Well, you know, another thing that's important, Bob, is that they have white jerseys on, too, you know, and the teams with the white jerseys have won the last 5 years. And the coaches take all those innocuous facts, write them down on a piece of paper, and throw them all away. They don't mean anything.
That's for sure. Not in this game, that's for sure. Right now, Ole Miss is out in front, thanks to the strong passing of Ken Austin in the first half. He came out throwing the ball and throwing it deep, which is a little bit unusual, the early season Ole Miss team. Austin, 13 of 19 for 189 yards. This a 44-yarder to James Pearl Harbor, who had 5 catches for 86 yards. And this is Nathan Wansley going over for the only touchdown of the first half. The Bulldogs were driving, but Orlando Lundy was intercepted by a freshman, James Savage, to stop that drive. Ole Miss drives down to the 2-yard line. They stall. John Howard, the freshman kicker, comes in, misses the chip shot, 22-yard field goal, and we remain 7-0 here at halftime. On the serious side of what might happen in the second half, 7-0. Ole Miss usually wins this game. At least that's what tradition has showed. But this year, Mississippi State was favored, yet they have not been able to score.
Well, Mississippi State's got a fine football team. Mississippi defensively has been strong in the first half. They've had troubles in the second half. So it's going to be interesting. Mississippi State has to come up with a way to slow down Ken Austin. He took a shot to the sternum at the end of the first half, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can come back and perform the way he did it early in the first half.
And it might be interesting to see if Don Smith, who had been starting at quarterback all year for Mississippi State, might play quickly. Do you think that might happen?
I think if he is healthy, he's got a shoulder problem, and you really don't know if his motion is going to be affected by that. I think if he's healthy, they'll get him in the game.
It's 7-0 Ole Miss. Who knows what will happen in the second half? There have been some crazy, wacky fourth quarters in this game. They call it the battle for the golden egg here in Jackson. We'll be back in just a moment. This is Turner Network Television.